Welcome to sixth grade math. The deepest point in Earth's oceans is the Mariana Trench, which is located 6 4/5 miles beneath the ocean's surface. The average depth of Earth's oceans is 2.5 miles. By contrast, the highest elevation of Earth is Mount Everest, which is about 5.5 miles high. Write a division expression to find how many times as tall as Mount Everest in the depth of the average ocean. So 5.5 divided by 2.5. Write a division expression to find how many times as deep is the Mariana Trench than the average ocean on Earth. So 6 4/5, which is the depth of the trench, divided by 2.5. And find 5.5 divided by 2.5. So the estimate, 6 divided by 3 is 2. So we have 5.5 divided by 2.5. And we have to, just like when we multiply fractions or mixed numbers, we have to convert mixed numbers to improper fractions. So we're going to write, okay, just like multiplying mixed number, when dividing mixed numbers, you just rewrite the mixed numbers as improper fractions. That's what I just said. So 5.5 is 5 times 2 is 10 plus 1 is 11. And then we'll convert 2.5 to an improper fraction. So 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So now we have 11 halves divided by 5 halves. And we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So the product of a number and its reciprocal is always 1, which means we're going to, reciprocal is the opposite of what we have. So instead of 5 halves, we're going to have 2/5. And we can prove that just by 5 halves times 2/5 equals 10 over 10. And if we change that improper fraction to a whole number, that'll become 1. So we have 11 halves times 2/5, which is the reciprocal of 5 halves. And if we simplify or multiply that out, let's simplify the greatest common factors first. So 2 goes into 2 once, and then 2 goes in the other 2 once as well. Multiply across, we have 11 over 5. And then we can rewrite that as a mixed number, which will be 2 1/5. 2 1/5 is approximately our estimate of 2. So that checks. 4 1/5 divided by 2 1/3. So estimate is 4 divided by 2 is 2. And if we convert the mixed numbers to improper fractions, 4 times 5 is 20 plus 1 is 21 over 5. And then 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is 7 over 3. Then we'll multiply 21/5 by the reciprocal of 7/3, which is 21/5 times 3 over 7. And if we simplify, 21 is divisible by 7 3 times, and then 7 goes into 7 once. And now we can multiply across. 3 times 3 is 9. 5 times 1 is 5. We get 9/5. We can rewrite that improper fraction as a mixed number of 1 4/5. 1 4/5 is approximately 2, so that checks as well. 8 divided by 2.5. 8 divided by 2.5. We need to make the whole number into an improper fraction, and then the mixed number into an improper fraction. So 8 becomes 8 over 1, and 2.5 equals 5 over 2. Now we'll multiply by the reciprocal of 5 halves, which would be 8 over 1 times 2/5. And can we simplify here? Doesn't look like it. So we'll go ahead and multiply. 8 times 2 is 16, and 1 times 5 is 5. We have 16 over 5, so we can change this improper fraction into a mixed number of 3 1/5. 1 5/9 divided by 2 1/3. So we're going to rewrite the mixed numbers into improper fractions. So 1 times 9 is 9, plus 5 is 14. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So we have 14/9 divided by 7/3. Now we will multiply 14/9 by the reciprocal of 7/3. So we get 14/9 times 3/7. And we can simplify the 14 and the 7, both are divisible by 7. And then the 3 and the 9 are both divisible by 3. Now if we multiply that out, we get 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. And if we get 2/3. Scaffolding questions. It takes 1.5 hours to read a chapter. How many chapters can you read in 7.5 hours? Which problem-solving strategies could you use to solve this problem? You could use the problem-solving investigation strategies we have learned this year. You could draw a diagram, guess and check, use a model, choose an operation, determine a reasonable answer, and you can use this strategy to solve this problem. Let's look at a few examples above. You draw a number line from 0 to 10, mark off the halves, and then mark off 1.5 sections to 7.5 and count them. Choose an operation. I decided to divide 7.5 by 1.5. Or you can estimate and divide 8 by 2. Examples, evaluate expressions. Find m divided by n if m equals 1 3/4 and n equals 2/5. So we have m divided by n. We'll just replace the variables with the mixed numbers, or a mixed number and fraction. Then we will write the mixed number as an improper fraction. So 1 4/3 becomes 7/4 divided by 2/5. And then we will multiply 7/4 by the reciprocal of 2/5, which is 5/2. 7/4 times 5/2. And can we simplify? No, we cannot. So 7 times 5 is 35. 4 times 2 is 8. And now we can rewrite the improper fraction as a mixed number of 4 3/8. Find c divided by d if c equals 2 3/8 and d equals 1 1/4. So if we just plug in the mixed numbers for the variables, we get 2 3/8 divided by 1 1/4. And we can rewrite the mixed numbers as improper fractions. We end up with 19 over 8 divided by 5 over 4. And now we need to multiply by the reciprocal of 5/4. So 19 over 8 times 4 over 5. And can we simplify? We can. We can simplify 4 and 8. And now we are left to multiply. So 19 times 1 is 19. 2 times 5 is 10. And now we can rewrite the improper fraction as a mixed number of 1 9/10. Real world example. Refer to the information at the right. If the average weight of a male giant panda is 330 pounds, how much does the average female giant panda weigh? So it says the average adult male weighs 1 1/5 times as much as the average adult female. So we'll have 330 pounds divided by 1 1/5. And we'll rewrite 1 1/5 as an improper fraction. And we'll rewrite the whole number of 330 as an improper fraction. And we get 330 over 1 divided by 6 over 5. And now we need to multiply by the reciprocal of 6/5. So we have 330 over 1 times 5 over 6. And can we simplify? 330 is an even number, so is 6. So we know we can simplify something. So 6 will go into 330 55 times. 6 goes into 6 one time. And if we multiply 55 times 5, we get 275. And then 1 times 1 is 1, so we get 275 over 1. And we don't want to leave that as an improper fraction, so we will simplify that into a whole number. Fundraising. The soccer team has 16.5 boxes of wrapping paper to sell to raise money for team t-shirts. If selling the wrapping paper is split equally among the 12 players, how many boxes should each player sell? So we have 16.5 boxes divided by 12 players. And the first thing we're going to do is rewrite 16.5 as an improper fraction, and then we'll rewrite 12 as an improper fraction. So we get 33 over 2 in place of 16.5, and then 12 over 1 for 12. And then we'll multiply 33 halves times 1/12, which is the reciprocal of 12 over 1. And can we simplify? 33 is divisible by 3 11 times. 12 is divisible by 3 4 times. Multiply 11 times 1 is 11. And 2 times 4 is 8. We get an improper fraction, 11 over 8. And if we simplify that or rewrite that to a mixed number, we get 1 3/8. Additional questions. 6 1/4 divided by 2 1/2. We're going to rewrite the mixed numbers as improper fractions. So 6 times 4 is 24, plus 1 is 25 over 4. Then 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2. And then we will multiply 25/4 times 2/5, which is the reciprocal of 5/2. We have two ways that we can simplify this. 25 is divisible by 5, and 5 is divisible by 5. 2 is divisible by 2, 4 is divisible by 2, and now we will multiply across. 5 times 1 is 5, 2 times 1 is 2. We have an improper fraction of 5/2. We will rewrite that as a mixed number of 2 and 1/2. Find f divided by g if f equals 2 and 5/8 and g equals 2/3. So we will just plug the mixed number in for f, 2 and 5/8, and the fraction in for g, which is 2/3, and we end up with 2 and 5/8 divided by 2/3. We will rewrite the mixed number as an improper fraction of 21/8 divided by 2/3, and now we will multiply by the reciprocal of 2/3. So we get 21/8 times 3/2, and we will multiply across. 21 times 3 is 63. 2 times 8 is 16. And now we can rewrite this improper fraction as a mixed number, and we get 3 and 15/16. Adventure racing. A team took 3 3/4 days to complete 180 miles of an adventure race consisting of hiking, biking, and river rafting. How many miles did they average each day? So 180 divided by 3 3/4, 180 miles, and it's divided by 3 3/4 day. So we're going to rewrite 180 as an improper fraction, and then we will rewrite 3 3/4 as an improper fraction. So 180 becomes 180 over 1. 3 3/4 becomes 15/4 because 3 times 4 is 12 plus 3 is 15. And then we'll multiply by the reciprocal, and 180 over 1 times 4/15. And we can simplify 180 and 15, and then we will multiply 12 times 4 is 48, and 1 times 1 is 1. We get 48 over 1, which can be restated as 48. There's your homework. It is ready for you on Google Classroom, so please enter it there and enjoy the rest of your day. I will see you in class.